So, after talking about how we have chronically neglected women's mental health and have done hardly anything to help with it, I have another question for you. Are young men leaving the workforce, or is the workforce leaving young men? Now, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm Caleb Smith. This is the Tradesman Talk Show, and this is where you'll hear balanced politics from someone who's not famous. Now, there's a whole controversy right now going on about how the young lady from the family Coke did a piece on men leaving the workforce, and it's been quite actually interesting. But first off, I wanted to thank so many people. There has been a huge flood of subscribers. We went from my last video having 135 to 180. It has been super huge, but it kind of just means that there is something that is missing in our society right now, and that is a balance, because unfortunately, it seems like there's almost a buy-in on the conservative side, and I am conservative, but there's a buy-in on the conservative side, and I saw a lot of people saying the same thing. And not just that there's not a conspiracy, that's not what I'm talking about, but basically it's like there's no balance in anything anymore, and I just feel like there really is a need for it. But we're gonna go ahead and get into it, because there is a video that's out, and the video is interesting, to say the least, about a perspective on workforce. And I have a lot of statements on that because obviously I'm in the workforce. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Where did all the guys in the office go?
American women now hold 176,000 more payroll jobs than American men. That's a far cry from 3 decades ago, when men held nearly 7 million more jobs than women. What changed? The largely male-dominated industries of manufacturing and construction have lost employment for decades due to automation and offshoring. Meanwhile, the healthcare industry, which is 78% female, is thriving. The male unemployment rate is actually relatively low right now, but the number of men who aren't even looking for a job has reached a nearly 20-year high. Gen Z men grew up witnessing the effects of the Great Recession and corporate America's push to bring more women into male-dominated fields. That left many of them feeling pessimistic about their own employment prospects. So for the guys who aren't working or even looking for work, what are they up to? Many are living at home. Some are even embracing the trend of being a stay-at-home boyfriend with a breadwinning girlfriend. This is all while more and more of life is happening through a screen. Social media, video gaming, sports betting, further isolating men from real life. But we can fix this. We can encourage more men to enter education, healthcare, and administration, just as women were encouraged to pursue careers in STEM. We could also expand vocational training and apprenticeships for men who are skipping college. It's time to bring a generation of young men back in from the sidelines.
So as you can imagine, the comments were kind of brutal on this whole thing. And what she's saying is like, oh, I don't know what's going on. The men are just seeming to be disappearing and all kinds of stuff. And what was being first commented as something I noticed was the fact that the Koch brothers are kind of rather famous for, even though they're sort of supposed to be on the conservative side, they actually were very opposed to closing the borders because they like the influx of cheap labor. Well, unfortunately, when you bring out the cheap labor and you cut out a lot of men, it will unfortunately remove a lot of their jobs. Another thing that was mentioned by her is the fact that these fields are being pushed in by women, and women are being told to go into these fields. But she's not talking about just women. She says it and makes it a dichotomy between women and men, but it's not just a situation of between women and men. It's a situation between a lot more than just that, because the number one group of men in the country is young white men, right? And so that's the ones that they're talking about, the Gen Z and so on. And I kind of wanted to mention, and so I'm going to show you this. So here is a comment that was underneath, and it says, young men, and especially young white men, did not ditch the workforce. They were intentionally excluded as a matter of policy. The degree to which corporate America could discriminate against white men served as a benchmark for progress for many years. Asking why there are no young men in the workforce, and particularly young white men, is like asking why there are no Germans in East Prussia anymore. Now, here is a graph. And the graph is accurate from as far as what I was able to look into. And really it is crazy, because the corporate America apparently pledged at some point that they were going to dramatically shift from white men, and white people, but white men specifically, to people of color. And they've managed to actually hit that goal that they were aiming for. What changed? And this guy who's responding says, hiring data from 2020 to 2021 of 88 companies on Standard & Poor's 100 list bears that out. An eye-opening report from Bloomberg shows these companies increased their workforces by 323,000 plus following the George Floyd protests and riots. The surge in hiring was dominated by diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. An eye-dropping 94% of new hires could be categorized as people of color. Whites, just over 70% of the U.S. population, accounted for only 6% of the S&P 100 hires. So there's a dramatic difference, and I want to give you something because, again, I'm going to start restructuring my background here, and I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I see this even in the workforce. So I'm union, and I deal with a lot of things in the union, and I've had people waiting to even get into apprenticeships. So even back in the day when I was getting an apprenticeship, I started in the non-union side. And there was even already a big trend and a big push to push in people of color or women specifically, very much women. And this is not a knock on women. I'm going to get to a conclusion. Please hear me out. I will get to a conclusion I think we can all agree on. But there's a big push to put women in. And in fact, I saw the situation very much happen recently where I've had two people that were working to get into the apprenticeship, and they have like different tiers of the trades. And so there's like a pre-apprenticeship tier. And then there's the apprenticeship. Once you finish the apprenticeship, you become a journeyman. And to become a journeyman, you can work your way up the ranks with like foreman, general foreman, superintendent, so on. Many of those guys that were waiting, and these ones were of color, so there's not really a prejudice there, but these guys were waiting for approximately 2 years to a little bit over 2 years to get into the apprenticeship course. Once you get in the apprenticeship course, you have 5 years of the apprenticeship to work through to become a journeyman, so you can get full scale pay. Everything up to that point is a percentage of the full scale pay. Well, a young lady came along, and she was in the apprenticeship less than 3 months after coming in. Now, mind you, her scores were actually less than the scores of the guys. I know that because the testing, they were joking about it one day, talking about their testing scores, and they were all talking about it, and she admitted that her scores were less. This is right before she got in the apprenticeship, and then she got in the apprenticeship. So we have to ask ourselves, why is that? Is it because of the fact that she was more qualified, or was it the fact that there was a DEI push? We cannot ignore one or the other. We can't ignore women. We can't ignore women's mental health and needs that they have and how we should treat them and deal with them properly, and not deal with them, but help them properly, right? In the same way, we can't change how we deal with men either, and how we help them and say, okay, well, we're just going to discontinue you. And in the video that you're watching, it talks about how all these jobs, these office jobs, and then talking about big paying jobs like lawyers and so on, where a head of a household would usually have that kind of job, and now it's going to women and that kind of thing, and that, to some degree, that's fine. That's not what I'm saying. I'll get to what I'm saying in a second. But when you push men out of these higher paying jobs and then say, okay, but go find a job in the less paying jobs, many times these guys already have homes that they're trying to take care of, or they're head of household, or they're in situations where, like, many people that I know, that they want to have because they don't trust the public school system, which, again, who would trust the public anything? Who trusts anything the government puts out there? And so they want to do charter schools or homeschools or whatever else they want to do to help their family. Well, that requires one person to be home. And usually, traditionally, that'd be the man going to work and the woman staying home with the kids. But with all these guys being pushed out of these jobs, ends up making it that much harder. And then a lot of families are not able to make ends meet. And so then, because they're trying to make the focus on the family, they end up having to do multiple little jobs or doing whatever else they can to scrape things together. What about this? What if we removed from a job application your race and your gender? Meaning what you got to determine whether someone got the job was simply their qualifications. And if that hurts the guys, then that hurts the guys. And if that hurts the girls, then that hurts the girls. And if that hurts the people of color, then that hurts the people of color. And that hurts the white people, then that hurts the white people. Can we just do that? Meaning, if you're going to go for a job, just be good at what you're trying to do. Have the qualifications for that job instead of being pushed one way or the other. Because I'm not just going to say, well, a bunch of white men are not getting jobs, so we need to push them back in. No. Are they qualified for the job? Are they going to do a good job? That's what I want to know. That's what I care about. And especially as someone who leads crews in the field, I have to make sure that my crews are capable of handling their job and not killing someone, especially in the electrical trade, because, man, it can get dangerous out there. Now, I got one last story before we go. I thought this was an interesting story. But there was a lady, she is a white lady, who decided she was going to join ISIS. And, of course, nothing about that looks suspicious at all. She was buying components to build a bomb. And what I'm going to say is this. We have an invasion right now in Europe actually happening, and I'm not using the word invasion incorrectly. Well, they literally have an invasion into a section of Spain, and it is the religion of peace. Yet here this lady converts over to Islam, and the things that she's buying are components to build a bomb. Why? Because America was Christian in her mind, and so it needed to be stopped, because how dare we have any links with God or the Jews? And here she's I guess she was videoing stuff to try to blow up the state capital. Now this lady was obviously nuts, but then you have to ask yourself questions. In the area that was invaded in Spain, and I don't think it was actually Spain, it's a territory that belongs to Spain on the African coast, is to be clear. The invading people are male and they're Muslim. So we're talking about men problems, I guess, today, and these are the two topics. Well, now they're having a series of problems because a lot of the women, the girls, are being kidnapped, taken to these mountains, the hills nearby, and gang molested. I'll use the nicer version of that word so I don't get totally removed from YouTube. These cultures are not compatible. The Western, biblical, Christian, even Judeo-Christian culture is not compatible with Islam. Islam is not compatible because it is a religion of hate and forced servitude. They are told that what they're doing by attacking these girls is actually good because it subjugates the people they are coming into. It is an invasion, and they want to subjugate us. They don't want to win over our hearts. That's, part of it if they can, but that's not even the point. If they can't do that, then they want to destroy you or kill you. And it's becoming more and more a thing, and I'm going to be diving into more of it because AP, which is the Apostate Prophet, and David Webb, I think is his name, have a great podcast where they talk about all these issues. And there is a major flaw in the Islamic religion. Obviously, there's many, but that they have pointed out, and I just need better research at it, and I'm going to work on that. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for all the support and help that you guys have given me. I'm trying a new camera again until I can get a better camera. It's from my iPhone, so working on it, trying to get there. And honestly, one of the biggest things is I love the subscribers, but if you guys could comment too, that would be super, super awesome. I try to get to as many comments as I possibly can, but sometimes I don't notice it right away, so just give me a little bit of patience, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching.